Hi everyone, it's Fiona Edgar here. This is a video about the upcoming new moon that we have on the 19th of May in Taurus. So it looks a bit exciting, I have to say. Jupiter is freshly into Taurus. I will make a separate video on that. So let's just get into it. What is a new moon? It's basically a new beginning. And it's an incredibly potent new beginning. And those kind of themes have been hanging around for a while now. We had that really energetic solar eclipse in Aries, which is still unfolding for the next several months. Now we have this new moon in Taurus. Both of those signs are connected with springtime. So what happens in springtime is that there is a lot of growth. The sun is coming back, baby animals are being born, mating season, flowers and trees, and new growth happening. So, what we're kind of seeing on a personal level with this series of lunations is really some kind of new beginning that is happening in all of our lives, but also on a global level. So, when we talk about a new moon, you could compare it to a conception when the sperm and the egg meet and they start to form a new life. That is the energy of a new moon. It starts something. And this new moon in Taurus is all about stability and wealth, especially finances. We want to get to a place of stability now. I think because of the last couple of years in particular, that's all we really want is to have an end to the drama and the constant negativity and going from one crisis to the next. We want to have something that is long lasting, a bit of a boring time because we've all got so used to drama and trauma, and especially within the media and everyone talking about the next crisis. So what this new moon is really trying to get us to do would be to form some sense of stability and strength within yourself that cannot be rocked by external events or people. Now, of course, it is easier said than done at the moment, just simply because of the times that we live in. But let's take a little look at this new moon. I'm going to share my screen. And then you can look at this chart with me. So as you can see here, it looks like a bit of a mess. There are a lot of aspects going on. So we have the new moon in Taurus. It is making a conjunction with Uranus, Mercury, the North Node, and Jupiter. In the type of astrology that I use, anything that is in the same sign is making a conjunction, regardless of the degree. They are all sitting in the same section of the sky. So all of these planets are influencing each other. So we have this new moon where we're seeking the kind of monotonous, boring, everyday life, good finances, stability within relationships. But this conjunction with Uranus is kind of shaking things up a little bit. Now, with Uranus, of course, you have the likes of cryptocurrencies. Taurus is also a sign that is connected to wealth. And Uranus has been plowing through Taurus for a couple of years now. And that we have seen the rise of cryptocurrency. So one thing that I would expect, and you have to remember here, that Uranus is a very unstable planet. It does not promise anything long lasting. But you could see some kind of very swift rise within cryptocurrencies. I don't know a lot about it. I have a Capricorn moon friend and she kind of informs me about these things. But you could see a bit of a rush or crypto rising and some kind of instability within the market, but potentially with a lot of wealth being created here. Jupiter in Taurus is in particular connected to wealth and abundance. Now, that is only going to happen if you work for it, if you work hard and in a way that is authentic. But even though we live during these times of kind of financial instability and uncertainty, There's still money there to be made for those of us that are willing to work hard. So something like that will see some kind of bull run. And it's funny that they call it a bull run, since Taurus's animal is actually the bull. We could see that within the crypto markets. Just remember, it is unstable, so you would have to get in there kind of quickly and do all of your trading and selling. That's kind of beyond me. I have no idea about that. So on a personal level, we're seeking this kind of everyday harmony within our partnerships and all of that. But there is some kind of disturbance going on with Uranus here. Now, there is a conjunction between Jupiter and the North Node in Taurus. And Jupiter is known as the guru. He is the kind of philosopher of all of the planets, the spiritual teacher. And what this conjunction is telling us is that you should, to get to this kind of place of peace and inner strength, your spiritual path is going to be a great way to do that. Also working with the earth and your natural polytheistic spirituality. Taurus is a sign that is connected to the soil that we walk on, the trees and the plants. So what I'm saying is, to bypass the kind of Uranian stress and overload from technology and overstimulation, you need to kind of earth yourself and ground yourself in a way that is truly Taurian, and also be careful about the foods that you're eating. Now, there is a very intense formation happening with this new moon. So if you look at my screen here, you'll see that what we have here is this big grand square. I just keep wanting to call it a big ass grand square, because that's what it is. Now, obviously this, as you can see with the red lines, they symbolize squares and oppositions. And this formation is made up of both of those aspects, and it is extremely stressful. So let's try and break it down a bit. It isn't fixed signs apart from Mars. Now, Mars is the most difficult part of this grand square, because Mars is hanging around at 29 degrees of Cancer, which is a sign that he does not like being in. Cancer can be, when you combine that with Mars energies, it manifests as passive-aggressive people, or people that cannot control their emotions properly. On the plus side, it does kind of encourage good instincts and intuition. But in a broad sense, you will be seeing a lot of people having meltdowns around the time of this lunation, and for about a week or two afterwards, to be honest. Because if you look at this Mars, he is at 29 degrees of Cancer, which means that over the next couple of days, when this planet enters the sign of Leo, this is when this Grand Cross is going to be exact. So it means it is the strongest, it is the most potent. After that, it is going to square these Taurus planets, Jupiter, the North Node, Mercury, and Uranus. So what could that mean? It could mean something very big on a global level. You know, Mars is connected to violence here, and wars and bombs and things. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But on a personal level, excuse me, on a personal level, I can kind of almost guarantee that you're going to experience some kind of conflict, because Mars is that aggressive planet. It describes how we fight, what we're like when we're arguing, and the kind of opposition that we get from others. Mars square Jupiter, as you can see here, is really hot, and it kind of blows everything out of proportion. And what I kind of see here is a lot of messy emotions getting blown out of proportion, because everyone that is involved in this conflict is really stubborn. Stubbornness is the nature of a fixed sign. They are stubborn, they're rigid, they stick to their guns, they do not back down. However, because of those traits that they have enormous willpower and enormous strength within themselves. So I actually have a fixed grand cross myself in my own birth chart. And I know that I am stubborn as hell and I have a lot of willpower. When I say that I'm going to do something, I do it. When I truly believe in something, it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks or believes, I will stick to my guns. So, uh, people that have a lot of fixed signs, in particular a fixed grand cross, they don't give up easily. Whatever is happening around this time, whether it is conflict with your partner or your boss or your friends or family, neither party is going to back down. There is going to be a huge clash here. But you know what? Sometimes that needs to happen. Sometimes you have to get stuff out in the open so that you can talk about it properly. Because remember, Mars has been transiting through Cancer for a while. So with that transit, we probably have seen people trying to avoid conflict. So stuff like passive aggressive, silently seething or boiling within inside yourself, but kind of trying to keep the peace, so not saying anything. So when you have this huge explosion here in the sky, of course, it makes it more likely that stuff that has been an issue through Mars and Cancer is going to come out in the open. So I think it's a good thing. And there is a real chance of a strong resolution after this. Like maybe for about a week or two, we're still going to be feeling this grand cross energy in the sky. Jupiter is conjunct the north node, opposite the south node, and it is making a square to Pluto. So that T square is going to be in effect for much longer. But it is not as dangerous as this grand cross with Mars, because Mars is really volatile. It's at the 29th degree. It's kind of saying, I have had enough of this Cancerian energy. I can't wait to get into Leo. So Leo is all about, Leo people do not keep things in. They're not passive aggressive. They will just say it straight. They can cause a huge drama and they don't tend to gloss over stuff or try to keep the peace. So yeah, Mars is the problem planet here, but certainly with Jupiter square Pluto, I would expect to see something going on with the financial structures in the world. What it is exactly, I don't know, but we have to remember that this is a square. So there may be a bit of stress here. There's definitely power struggles, both on a personal level and in a global sense. So what what I'm saying is the next couple of weeks could be pretty difficult. So yeah, we also have, by this stage, we also have Mercury, who is out of his retrograde period, but he's still in the shadow period. So as you know, sometimes the shadow periods can be a little bit tricky. So stuff has been building maybe over the retrograde period, and you could have this kind of sudden rush, or it could be a breakthrough. There's a real chance of some kind of breakthrough here, or it could be stuff coming to your head, like I said. But we do have a grand trine in water with Venus, the south node, and Saturn. So what you could see with this is actually, yes, there are a lot of emotions. It's going to be hard to control our emotions around this time. But with the water, and also because Venus is actually the ruler of this new moon, and she's in Cancer, she can be super nurturing. She's concerned with family. There's a lot of loyalty within her relationships. So no matter what happens, family is going to come first. The issues could be with your family. Your partner is probably going to be supportive once we get past all of this madness here. But the good stuff about this new moon is that we get to a place of nurturing and more stability and actually more emotional openness, because these water signs and Venus in Cancer is all about emotional openness and feelings and nurturing and having your heart open. Now, Venus is making a loose square to Chiron. That will also become exact about a week after this new moon. So that's why I'm saying it could be the next 2 weeks after May 19th when this event happens that we are feeling the aftermath of this. And especially with that T-square with Jupiter, the nodes and Pluto, there's going to be some intense transformation, intense power struggles. But ultimately, by the end of that, we are in a much better place financially, emotionally, and most importantly, that stability that we have been seeking is finally within our grasps. So sometimes to get to a place of financial abundance or emotional stability, you have to cut some ties with people. You have to, especially the ones that are always trying to force you into doing things, or there are power struggles, or they're not taking your needs into consideration, and you kind of feel a bit bullied. And going back to Venus and Cancer, Venus and Cancer is not an aggressive placement. She wants to be passive. She wants to be loved. She wants to nurture in a way that is very feminine. And it can be hard to stand up for yourself when Venus is in Cancer. But by doing so, you get to that place of stability. And in your relationships, if it involves cutting ties with someone that is constantly trying to run over you, push you into doing things, and again, this may be done in a way that is very unhealthy and passive aggressive. So being direct is the best way to kind of live your life. But we do come across these people that are passive aggressive. They have a very unhealthy relationship with anger. And it can be that type of thing where they say things and they pretend to be well-meaning, but actually they're incredibly vicious beneath it all. So to get to that place where you feel healthy and satisfied with yourself, and no one is messing with your physical everyday life, no one is messing with your relationships or your finances or your job, then sometimes you have to cut ties. So that would be one of the hardest things that I see here to do with this new moon. But like I say, this grand trine in water is going to hopefully help to smooth things over. It is actually a kite. So a kite is when we have this minor grand trine stuck at the end of this grand trine here. And it can go a long way to smooth things over. So if you look here, the apex planets are Jupiter, the North Node, Mercury, and Uranus. So those are the planets that are going to help us through this new moon. So working with your spiritual path, putting your own needs first and not trying to please everyone else all the time. Putting your own needs first, especially when it comes to your emotional well-being and your financial well-being. And then communicating about those needs to others. And if they don't like it, if they're not supporting you, if they're trying to sabotage you in some way, then don't have a problem with letting them go. And with Uranus, of course, there's always going to be a surprise. There's always going to be something unexpected that comes along, or you find yourself in a totally new situation in life that you didn't really see coming. But whatever this is, it's kind of been brewing for a while. But I think that this is good. You know, I always say when it comes to transits and lunations and so on, give me a good hard Saturn transit, or give me a good Mars square, other than some kind of weak sextile or trine from like Jupiter or Venus, because the hard, difficult aspects are where we grow. And I remember, it wasn't last summer, but the summer before that, I specifically remember that there was a really challenging T-square. And if I remember correctly, it also was in fixed signs, and it was really difficult, and there was all this madness and drama. And then, do you know what happened? Literally about 3 weeks later, people started to have these amazing breakthroughs within their lives, and all of this good stuff happening. I remember this specifically because I actually met my partner my partner that I live with today a couple of weeks after this T-square. So what I'm saying is there will be some gold that comes out of this, some pure gold where you are feeling in a much better place. So please don't worry about this. Embrace the changes. Now, if you want to get your specific analysis for your rising sign and your sun sign, you would need to subscribe to the newsletter that I have on my website. It is free. It is monthly. All you have to do is stick in your email address and you'll get them to your inbox. So I'll leave the link below, but this looks like a bit of an exciting one. So do hold on to your hats. But remember, the result of this, no matter how dramatic it gets, is really going to be some kind of stability and growth and positive change that comes at the end of this. So that's it, guys. I hope this was useful, and I will be back again soon.